Welcome back. This is Kevin with Everglades Canine Academy, and I am here with Abby, the 4-month-old Weimaraner. And today we are practicing some long line recall. All right, so recall is the most important command that we can have. We want our dogs to come to us when they're called. All right, there's nothing more heartbreaking than when you say your dog's name and you tell them to come and they don't come at all. Yes, good girl. So we've already been marker training her for a couple days now. Okay, so she does know her reward marker. And let me tell you guys something. We were also practicing recall on a short line, like a 6-foot leash. Only 6 feet apart were we recalling. Now I'm bringing her into a new environment, which is my backyard. And I am using a long line because I want her to have a little bit more distance to make it a little more challenging. Now, the one problem I see most folks do is they practice recall without a leash. All right, and I've said this before and I'll say it 100 times again, that recall must be practiced with a leash. We need to be able to enforce and have the dog have accountability. The dog needs to have accountability. And if you don't have a leash and you're saying come or here or whatever your recall command is and your dog isn't listening, that command just becomes an option. Okay? And when recall becomes an option, maybe they'll come to you, maybe they won't. It all depends on if they think something is a little more valuable than your command. Okay? And trust me, guys, there are so many things that your dog is going to find more valuable than coming to you. This is why we must train them to come when they're called no matter what. And the way we do that is with a leash. So I think Abby's still on screen, but she's looking for kibble in the ground over there because this is where I feed Hudson. Yes. Now, I didn't recall her, but if she does like automatically come to me, I'm going to mark and reward that because I want her to check in. All right. So what we're going to do, basically what I do is I just start walking around normally. I let her get a little bit distracted, and then I will engage in the recall command. And if she doesn't come to me within a couple seconds, I'm just going to start moving and I'm going to pull on the leash. And when she does start to head in my direction, that's when I'm going to mark yes, and that's when I'm going to reward. Okay? It's as simple as that, guys. But if you don't have a leash, you're going to fail. All right? Because when they're puppies, they do come when you call them because they like the voice. They like, you're new and exciting. But as the dog gets older, all right, they want to start doing their own thing. And that usually happens between 6 months and a year to a year and a half of age. All right. So when you practice this exercise, make sure you use a leash. Every time use a leash. All right, let's see if we can get her. She's way over here at the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and execute this exercise. Abby, come. Yes. Good. All right. Now also, if you're practicing with food, if you like using food, practice when they're hungry. Abby is a little hungry right now. Abby, come. Here we go. Okay, not paying attention. Now we're going to use the leash. Yes. Yeah, good girl. Notice I'm not repeating my command, guys. I'm not repeating my command. All right? You repeat your command, it just becomes an option for the dog, and you don't want that to happen. All right? I'm even going to start sprinkling some kibble in the ground over here. I want her to have a distraction. All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, we're going to walk a little bit away. Abby, come. Not listening. Now we use leash. Yes. There we go. Jackpot reward from my hand. All right, so important that we have the leash. If I didn't have a leash on her, she never would have came to me because there's a bunch of kibble in the ground right there in the grass. All right, let's repeat that. Abby, come. See, not paying attention. Leash. Ready, leash. Yes! Good girl! And we give her the jackpot reward. All right, I'm giving her like a whole handful of kibble. I want to make it worth it. Let's recall her now. Abby, come. Yes! Oh, you see that? That time I didn't even have to use the leash. All right, now you want to get these reps in, guys, okay? It's really important that you practice this daily. This should be done daily. You don't need to use a 30-foot leash. All right, you can use your 6-foot leash, but you should work up to longer distances. All right, let's try again. Let's go even further. Abby, come. Yes, good girl. See, just a little bit of leash pressure, and I'm able to pull her off of the distraction and get her to come to me. All right, that's what we want. Abby, come. Yes, practice a couple short distance recall exercises. All right. This is why training with food can be so beneficial. And not that I'm opposed to prong collars and e-collars. I've trained with them before, and when used properly, they're great. But just with hunger, you can really, really solve a lot of basic obedience commands, okay? Just basic obedience. This is just basic obedience. We're really not doing any true behavior modification here, guys. This is just solidifying obedience commands. Abby, come. Yes. That was great. That time she had her nose in the grass looking for kibble. I didn't even have to use the leash that time. So now I'm starting to see that she's responding. Who's a good girl? All right, she's responding really, really nicely to the recall command. Let's try again. And we don't need to do this for a very long time. We can just do this for a couple minutes a day, and it'll make a big difference. But you got to make sure you do it on the leash, guys. You got to make sure you do it on the leash. Abby, come. Yes. Good girl. Good girl. Good. She's smart, guys. She's smart. She's learning without even having the first couple times I had to pull on the leash and use it, but she's really, really learning. She's just coming when she's called. Abby, come. Yes. Because she knows. She knows that she's going to get a solid reward when she comes to me. Now, here is a situational thing I want to talk about. We practice this command. We want our dogs to come to us when they're called because there could be instances. Let me recall her. She's looking at me. Abby, come. Yes. Good. I still want to get in some good reps before I go on my tangent. It's really important because there may be a time where your dog accidentally gets off leash, where they're running into the street, you don't have the leash and you need control. And the way to do that is this is the hard part of training. So notice how I'm saying, Abby, come. Yes. When you're panicked because your dog has run off, you have to execute the recall command with the same vocal tone. Okay? I've noticed a lot of people when they're stressed, they start saying their commands differently, right? Because they're stressed out. But if you're practicing in one vocal tone, you need to keep that same vocal tone when it's an actual, I'll just say, life or death situation. All right? Good girl. That's where the training comes in. This is why training is so important, because someone who's not trained, they're going to panic and then they're going to say their command differently because they're stressed out. So this is why practice is so perfect. This is why practice makes perfect, because when your dog tries to run away from you, which it's inevitable, all of us, even I'm guilty, that we make mistakes. And sometimes our dog gets out of the gate or under the fence, or we turn around and our dog is kind of running after another dog, or we drop the leash. There's so many things that can happen when you're with your dog, that you need to have your recall solid. And my people that want to have off leash training, that's like a big thing. People are like, oh, I want to off leash train my dog. Well, your recall better be very solid. It better be 110%, because if you haven't practiced on leash in multiple distracted environments, then your dog will not respond to you when it's called. All right. It needs to be 100% rock solid. And even then, I recommend finding a trainer and possibly even doing some e-collar recall. That way you still have pressure you can apply to your dog if they don't listen to you. All right. So we're just going to get in a couple more reps, guys, then we're going to end the video. Abby, come. Yes. Now, as she's coming to me, I'm marking yes, basically right when she starts beelining it to me. But eventually, it's going to be, you're going to have to come to me and sit, all right, or come to me and down. And we're going to start working in more commands with that recall before we mark and reward for the final jackpot of kibble. But that's it, guys. We just have her on a line. We take our time. We start implementing recall every couple minutes. And if she doesn't come to us, then we use the leash. Abby, come. Yes. What a good girl. I will also say to you guys, I love talking about situations because I've seen so many situations in real life. I've seen a lot of dogs. Maybe let's just say they're like running down the street. The owners are yelling at them, and the dog actually does recall. And I've seen owners scold their dog when the dog is coming back to them. And I always kind of hate to see that. I get it because the owners are like upset that their dog ran away, and they got all stressed out, and they're like, "What's your problem?" They're kind of yelling at their dog. You can see the tail tucked, the ears down. The dog kind of luckily, sometimes they go back. Other times I've seen dogs run away once they get scolded, because who wants to come to somebody that's yelling at them? All right. So it's extremely important that even if your dog is, let's just say, running away, if they do come back to you when you recall them, please reward that, praise that. Okay, we have a distraction in the bush. Hudson has seen something. Probably just like, let's see if we can recall Hudson. Hudson, come. No. Good boy. Good. Hey. Good. Good boy. Good enough for me. Hudson's looking at probably a rabbit in the bushes. I just want him to disengage. Let's go. Come here. Those are good boys. You want little snacks? There you go. Abby, don't be a bully. Puppies think it's all about them. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please get out there, practice your long line recall or your short line recall. You can execute this exercise with a small leash, a short leash, or a long leash. If you have any comments, leave them down below. If not, remember, always train your dog in a happy state. Never train them when you're upset. And if you are, just kind of come back to it another day. But you'll have so much more success if you use the leash with this recall exercise. All right. And I tell all my clients, use the leash more than you think for longer than you think. All right. And then you start practicing without the leash where it's safe and where you can mostly control it. All right. All right. We'll see you on the next video.